Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's your man James back again with some more live stream action for you. I hope you guys are doing well. Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope you've had a great day and are enjoying the good times with family and friends and whatever else may be going on. And, as you can see, I'm a little decked out for the holidays myself. So we got some stuff to get into today. We're doing another sequential thinking piece, our final one of the year. Today's topic, we'll be talking about the comic industry basically going broke and how the creators within the mainstream are starting to really suffer the consequences of that. But yet, as with all things, no matter how bad it may seem, there can always be a silver lining. So we're going to get into all that. And also on top of that, with it being Christmas and all, I got a little package in the mail the other day, and I'm going to open it up live here tonight after we get through our discussion. So, is this a little something fun for that I wanted to throw in, or is it a little scheme of mine to get you to stick around for the whole entire stream, so that way you can see what's in the box? I don't know. It could be both. It could be neither. We'll have to find out. But anyway, let's get right on with it. And so what I will do is I will start to share the screen here. And let's see. Yep, share the screen. So here we go. There we are. Now, so again, as you saw, the title of this is Blue Christmas, and you can see right here, I started working on this right here, this very date on here from this post from Jimmy Palmiotti, November 12th. So I've been working on this for over a month, just watching things deteriorate slowly. And this is how it all begins here. We get this here from Jimmy. He goes, "It is a thing now, being asked to do a cover for a comic and then later seeing it as a chase cover, and you were not told this. Artists want exposure, and chase covers offer a much smaller percentage." So what he's talking about is when they do the variant covers that we see, the 1 in 100s, the 1 in 500s, the 1 in 250s. You're asked to do a cover, but they don't tell you, well, you're only going to be 1 out of every 100 or 1 out of every 500. And so therefore, you're not going to be getting the exposure that a cover should give you the way it would for the regular cover. And this is just a little thing. It's just another little lie told to creators in the mainstream by the publishers, not giving them the information. But like I said, and things just continue to deteriorate here. Here's Mike Hawthorne, another comic creator, talking about royalties. And you can see here, he goes, "I'm not trying to spill any tea, but this is why many comic artists die poor and cynical." And he shows here the current, cumulative revenue of his royalties here is over $7,500. Hey, that's really good, isn't it? But then look down below here, and you got the cumulative expenses right underneath. We'll go over here. You can see right here they are. You got printing freight, $3,000, marketing, $108, incidentals, $150. What's that? So when it all comes out, you can see here, from all that stuff plus less prior payments and advances. Now, what that is that's where they say they basically forwarded some money to the creator on the prospect the book would sell enough that there would be royalties involved, that they would get it on the back end to get that advance back. And so in the end, you can see here, out of his $7,500, he ends up with a nice $1.44 in royalties. The check he gets is the paper it's made from is almost as much as the actual amount in it. That's hilarious. And it's just further proof. He goes, "The advance is the most questionable. The company paid a small, very small advance well over a decade plus ago. They made that money back many times over. Not sure why they're still taxing me over it." Of course you're not, because again, this is how it is at a big company, at a big corporation. They're always looking for ways to cut the costs to themselves. And if they can foster some of that onto other people, even through hinky fudged math such as that, they're going to do it. And here's another one, Sean Dove. "Ha, I got mine today. Negative $41.62 in royalties." That's hilarious. Hilarious. But again, all of this is just the prelude, folks. These are the kind of things that have been happening for many years in this industry. It's not news. It's not anything new. It's not anything special. People aren't looking at that and going, "Oh, well, this never happened before." This has been going on, as I said, for decades. So it's old news. But what's new news is stuff like this. Olivia Briggs on the latest with Aftershock Comics. Earlier this week, Bleeding Cool ran complaints from comic book creators reportedly with issues getting paid from Aftershock Comics. Now, in case you don't know, Aftershock Comics is a comic company created by a bunch of Silicon Valley money. The guys in Silicon Valley said, "Hey, we can do that comic book thing. Let's create our own company," and that's Aftershock. Despite repeated attempts to elicit comment from Aftershock Comics, they did not return emails. They did reply to Comics Beat and Comic Book to say, "Thank you for reaching out. For easy reference, here's our statement on the matter. The company is addressing late payments as outstanding funds owed to the company come in. There are no non-payments. Everyone who is owed money will be paid. We recognize our obligations and consider creator compensation our number one priority. We apologize for this situation and are making our best efforts to rectify it as quickly as possible." Now, first of all, this is too funny for two reasons. First of all, is the fact that this is from Bleeding Cool. You can see here from December 18th. So they would not get back to Bleeding Cool and that hobgoblin Rich Johnston, but yet they did get back to the Comics Beat and comicbook.com, which is funny. So they won't respond to the Bleeding Cool guys. That's hilarious in its own right. But we recognize our obligations and consider creator compensation our number one priority. I mean, they're talking about people who are not getting paid right now, and not by they're like a week late or 2 weeks late. We're talking months late, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months late in payments. And yet, this is our number one priority. So, but keep this in mind. As we go on here. Olivia Briggs got in touch to tell us her perspective as the writer of Mary Shelley's Monster Hunter, Bram Stoker Monster Hunter, and Silver City, both with Aftershock. She tells me, from everything I know personally and from what I've heard from other creators, Aftershock has indeed suspended payments to many of its freelance creatives. It sucks, and I have a feeling there are folks out there who are owed a lot more money than I am, so I really feel for them. Brian Cunningham has been very candid and transparent with everyone, and it's much appreciated. Aftershock has its issues for sure, but they put out great books, support weird, diverse creators like myself, and take real, bold chances. This is definitely a scary time for those of us who have books now currently in limbo at Aftershock, but myself and many others are holding out hope that the company pulls through. The last thing our community needs is one less indie publisher. Now, again, take note of all this. She's saying, it's not just her, it's several people, and it's months late payments. This is not just like some little accounting error that has to be corrected in a week or two. And the companies told you themselves that they're expecting money in that isn't coming in. Well, where was that money coming from? You see, all questions to which we don't really have any answers. But again, this goes to show you how insolvent this industry actually is. We've talked about this before. I've mentioned this stuff myself as well as others over the years have been telling them. The comics are in dire trouble. There's a reckoning coming, and I think that's where we are right now with this. Is the reckoning, and but keep your eyes on this. Keep this in mind when we continue on here about Aftershock. So. But as you can see, Aftershock is not the only one, because here's Will Robson, who has worked for Marvel and DC and lots of the bigger publishers, not some smaller one like Aftershock, but big publishers. And here's what he has to say, which I think is the most telling thing of all. Has it become industry standard to pay creators ridiculously late for their work? I've struggled all year with all the large companies I work for to get paid on the agreed time. I'm talking months late. It's sad how nervous I am to even talk about this publicly in fear of being blacklisted for future work. Now, again, to take a pause here. How many times have we heard, well, there are no blacklisting comics. That's a conspiracy theory drawn up by a bunch of right-wing bigot trolls on the internet. And yet, here's this guy who's telling you that he's afraid to even be talking about this because he's afraid these companies will blacklist him from ever getting work again. See, once again, another lie that we were told for years, there is no blacklists. Well, obviously there are. But I've heard so many horror stories from other freelance creators recently about fighting for their paycheck, and I need to vent all this out and hopefully raise some awareness to make serious change. Here's how it works. You're hired to write or draw a book. The deal usually is you have to complete 5 to 10 pages first, then you will receive a payment for that work a few weeks after completing it. This means that when you start a new project, it's not guaranteed when exactly you'll see your first payment because, depending on the difficulty of the work, team book, location, crowd scenes, etc., the length of time it takes to create enough pages of work is always fluid. Usually, if you're a pro, you can gamble that your first payment will be 4 to 5 weeks upon taking the work. So right there, he's telling you when you start out, you got to do work basically on credit. You got to do the work and then you get paid for it, and that can be at least a good 4 to 5 weeks before you see that first bit of money for those first 5 to 10 pages. So you're already looking at each project you take on as a month plus minimum expectancy of payment for half or a quarter of the issue you're working on. Now, this can be annoying as if you're constantly hopping from title to title, these payments can stagger between each other and you can find yourself in some financial jams. Gee, do you think? Because you're waiting for payment from one to go into working on the next, and you don't know when that payment's going to come in after that one. And yeah, that could be very hectic. But recently I've had what I thought was a stroke of bad luck with getting paid on that agreed amount of time after finishing work. And I'm not talking a week late, I'm talking 5 to 10 weeks late. These delays have caused me and my family so much stress, it's unbelievable. I've dealt with delayed payments in the past working with smaller companies, but the bigger companies in the business are now delaying payments regularly, and I've really had enough. So you see, there it is. This is the proof in the pudding. You saw Aftershock, and you say, well, that's a small publisher, that's an indie guy. They're always having problems. Okay, maybe, although it's still not right, but okay, you could go with that. But now here he is telling you the big publishers, Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Image, the big boys, the guys everyone goes to, the guys who feel they're the leaders of this industry. Even they're now late. And again, like he said, not like by a week or something where there's some little cash flow crunch. Just say just got to wait an extra week. There was a slip up in accounting. We had to fix that. No. Weeks late, months late. And again, this is something we have talked about. We told them this was coming. Why are they not able to pay these people? What could possibly be the reason that these major companies who are owned by megacorps like Disney and Warner Discovery and all this kind of stuff, who own these companies, why is it they're unable to pay people? These are megacorps. They're the ones with all the money. They own all the properties, right? They own all the icons. They should be rolling in dough to pay these people out without a problem, right? Because after all, these are freelancers. They're working for peanuts. We all know that the industry's never treated freelancers fairly in the pay department. So here are people working for peanuts, and they're getting late payments for months late. So, what could be the problem? Well, we'll get into that in a little bit here. A project I've worked on recently still hasn't paid me. I was expecting payment for it in mid-November. Remember that 4 to 5 week window of expected first pay I talked about? That means I started the book in October. How do these companies expect me to pay my bills and afford the holidays? I've been constantly living in a state of survival mode all year with barely affording to get by due to these delays. Well, it's not just the delays, I'm sure, that's causing them so much pain and grief. I'm sure it's also the economy that we're in is another one. So, you can thank Joe Biden for that. And we got some stuff here from Marcus Killigrew. Merry Christmas, my friend. Yes, Merry Christmas indeed. He goes, all this makes me feel better that I'm in IT instead of my comic artist dream. Yes, it certainly does seem like that would be the way. Yes, it certainly does seem that would be the better dream to be having right now. Okay, so anyway, continuing on here. I just find it ridiculous that I'm a trained and skilled worker who works 10 to 15-hour shifts 5 to 7 days a week to hit these ridiculous industry standard deadlines, and that already take you away from having any sense of a normal family social life, to then have to worry about paying your bills or feeding your family. I mean, I get to draw these iconic characters owned by these large corporations who are making millions off of adapting freelancers like myself's art and creativity. But when you're drawing these characters and internally stressing over whether or not you can afford to buy your family Christmas presents this year due to payment delays, then enough is enough. I work hard. I hit my deadlines. Pay me. So, again, I can't fault him on anything he's saying. Everything he says is absolutely, completely factual. If the contracts that he signed to be a freelancer for these people, and it was all about, hey, you need to you need to pay me within 4 to 5 weeks of those first 5 pages, pardon me, or whatever, and that's the standard, then the company is on the hook for this. They need to fulfill their end of the obligation, because as he's stating here, he's fulfilling his. He works hard, he hits the deadlines, he gets the work in, and he gets it done good. Pay him. But part of me is having a hard time feeling bad for him, because, again, this is the same type of crew who has spent the last 5, 6, 7 years attacking their own reader base, calling them Nazis and bigots and white supremacists and all the dirty names in the book, telling them we don't want your money and all this other jazz. And now here they are crying we're not getting paid, and not paid by small publishers who are, often rife with problems, but the major publishers owned by megacorps aren't paying now. I just, so it's like a duality with me. Is I know he's right in what he says, and I want to support that, but at the same time, well, but you've also either have supported or have been silent when your fellow colleagues have attacked the very reader base that these companies rely on to pay those bills. Those bills, of course, being paying you as well. So in the end, you guys have driven away the money, and now you're complaining you're not getting any money. Let's think about that, shall we? As we continue on. And to clarify, I'm not talking about editors being the issue. My editors are wonderful and fight with me to get paid. But that itself is a bonkers thing to say, that an employee of a company fights with me to get paid by the same company that they work for. Please, if you're like me and have had these or having these issues with the comic industry and these large corporations, post your story below. I know I'm not the only one struggling. Let's make some real change. So here it is. Now he's putting out the clarion call. Others, I know you suffer with me. Let's all come together and expose this and vent our rage. But again, who are you venting the rage at? You're venting it at the publishers, right? And at the corporations that own them, sure, because they're the ones who sign your checks, as Ron Mars once told us all quite a while ago about, it's not us readers who sign his paychecks, it's the publishers. So, okay, that's fine, but where do they get their money? Where do they get their money from? See, again, this was always the case. We told them long ago. We told them, we begged them not to go down this road, and yet they did anyway. And so we got some responses here. Here's Joe Quesones, who's a well-known comic artist, worked for the big guys. Waited recently over a full year on one publisher before getting paid, and currently still awaiting payment, running on 6 months now from a second prominent publisher who has largely ghosted me to 2 separate covers I created for them last summer. Now, who is this prominent publisher he's talking about? I wonder. The first publisher I won't name because I believe it was an honest mistake. Translation, I know I'll be canceled and I'll be blacklisted. That's what that says. The second publisher is Valiant. Bloodshot and Archer and Armstrong covers I did just over 6 months ago. No payment, largely no correspondence except to kick the can down the road. We're working on this. How hilarious. A Valiant, another mainstream publisher. Of course, they haven't seen any really good days since they kicked out Jim Shooter, back in 92, 30 years ago. It was their glory days. So, but I find it's hilarious that it's Valiant, where everyone's favorite Walking Jizz Jar. Heather Ontos is an editor there. Seems no matter where she goes, she brings nothing but chaos and destruction in her wake. So again, it's just, it's just hilarious to me that this is all going down this way. Here's Alex Gardner, who, when you may know, back in the day, back in the 90s, working with J. Scott Campbell on Gen 13, among other stuff. So he goes, Valiant stiffed me too. Did a Bloodshot cover and they didn't pay. Ignored all my follow-up emails. Deadbeat publisher. Wow. Wow. Just totally ignored him. That's hilarious. Again, but is it really that much of a surprise given what we've been seeing in this industry the last several years? I don't think it is. Here's Tara Phillips, another creator. I've been waiting months for a publishing company to pay me for 2 cover licenses, one payment going back as early as August. So again, several months ago. See, it just keeps piling up. Here's one. Nathan Kempf says, a specific publisher that I may not name owes me $1,500. Some of it is more than 60 days late. This time next week, they'll be late on close to $4,000. I've had to take on way more work than I can handle to try to make up financially. It is a real struggle right now. So again, part of you wants to feel bad because no one, because again, the companies are not living up to their expectations to these people, to what was promised in their contracts. Most likely, that is wrong, and it should be called out. But again, these are the same people who spent several years driving away the readership, injecting their personal politics and hatred of certain political figures and whatever else, their personal pet peeves and political takes into everything, destroying characters, destroying stories, destroying, whole entire, reader bases. And now all of a sudden they're starting to reap the whirlwind and they don't like it. And they're complaining and say, so you can't feel, how bad do you feel for somebody who is at least in part responsible for the suffering they're now being inflicted with? How deep does your compassion have to run? Because mine doesn't run very deep. I'll tell you that straight up. I'm just the kind of guy where if you want my sympathy, you really need to be deserving of it. And I don't see a lot of these people as very deserving. They've spent years showing me why they're not deserving. But here's why they're seeing all these problems at the bigger publishers now. Here you go. Disney stock plunges 13% to new multi-year low on earnings miss. Weak profit outlook. And, they saw down there, it says previously what it said, but the update is the important part here, right here at this top. Disney stock closed at $86.75 a share, down more than 13% as investors punished the company for its disappointing quarterly earnings report and weak earnings forecast. The single-day plunge was the biggest for Disney shares since the onset of COVID in the U.S. in March of 2020, when it also fell by 13%. The shares have fallen more than 43% in 2022 to date, compared with a drop of less than 10% for the Dow Jones industry average. So there it is. The major corporations that own the publishers, they're going broke. They're losing money. I just heard a story about Disney. They just fired Bob Chapek and brought back Bob Iger to try to salvage everything because Bob Chapek was going to let a lot of people go, and they didn't want to do that because they were afraid all the wokies in the company would go ballistic. So they got rid of him instead. And and he lied and cooked the books on their streaming services, which I've heard $1.5 billion loss on Disney's streaming services, Disney Plus. So I mean, these companies are bleeding money. Is it any wonder they can't afford to pay the help? And it's not just one thing, like, oh well, the streaming services or whatever. It's dang it. It's not just like the streaming services that's the problem for Disney. It's a lot of things. Let me just get back to it here. There we go. Disney's Iger may have to cut costs as streaming loses money. See, there it is right here. Saving Walt Disney Company this time will require Bob Iger to show a different side to his character. The legendary chief executive who transformed Disney into the most powerful entertainment company on the planet will need to show how quickly he can cut costs and restore profitability, analysts say. Disney shocked investors late on Sunday evening by announcing the ouster of Bob Chapek as CEO and appointing Iger a 2-year contract to return to the company. I just told you about this. This is what they did to try to stem the bleeding. Like, we'll bring in Bob Iger, who made us so rich. But Iger is a lot of the one who put in a lot of the wokeness in the company. Yeah, sure, he bought up Marvel. He bought up a whole bunch of other properties. You know, as they said, they're the largest and most powerful entertainment company on the planet, perhaps. But he filled the work with wokeness, and we've seen how that has failed time and time again. Okay? Disney just lost an insane amount of money from Black Widow. January 2022 marks a year since the Phase 4 of the MCU kicked off with WandaVision on Disney+. Diving headfirst into streaming after a year with no content was somewhat of a risk, but it wasn't the only one. In July, Disney decided that the Marvel's first Phase 4 theatrical film, Black Widow, would be released in theaters and on Disney Plus via Premier Access at the same time. The direct pipeline that streaming provides has long intrigued studios, and during the height of the pandemic, it became a means of survival as well as a prime opportunity for experimentation. While Marvel's gamble on Disney Plus series paid off, Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow dual release did not. See, again, the movie, and it wasn't just that. The movie was bad by all accounts. Everything I saw, everyone who I saw and heard from who saw it says it was horrible. They totally ruined the character of Black Widow. They made, they just it was all a setup to create a new Black Widow, and they ruined the character of Taskmaster and all this stuff in there. So a horrible movie that they released in 2 ways that did it no favors in any way, and it ended up losing, I think, like $50 million or something like that, $60 million. But that was nothing next to The Eternals leaves theaters with the second worst domestic performance in MCU history. Chloe Zhao, Eternals rewired the Marvel Cinematic Universe's DNA. The epic spanned thousands of years, journeying into ancient civilizations through a Marvel Studios lens that connected to a present-day apocalyptic narrative. Boasting a cast that included A-listers and award-winning actors such as Angelina Jolie and Richard Madsen on top of the golden stamp of approval from Marvel President Kevin Feige, Eternals appeared primed for success hitherto undreamt of. While The Eternals was far from a failure, the Immortal Ensemble's first installment left a lot to be desired. This movie lost so much money. I can't. It was stymieing how much money. I think it's like their first $100 million loss after this thing. And again, you had great actors, like I said, Angelina Jolie, and you had Selma Hayek, and a whole bunch of great actors, but didn't mean anything, because what was the key in this movie? It wasn't about an entertaining story. It wasn't about being faithful to the source material. It wasn't about trying to create intriguing characters. It was all about mud-diversity. Mud-diversity. That's all it's ever about. And and again, this is what you end up with when that's your basis. I mean, because when they marketed the thing, how they market it? Mud-diversity, and this movie is gonna save lives, they said. Remember that? This movie is gonna save lives by people who will see themselves in it. The people who don't usually see themselves in movies will now see themselves because they're being represented. Representation will save lives. It's just totally ridiculous nonsense. But again, this was the outcome. It was inevitable. And then, of course, we have this. She-Hulk fails to make Nielsen streaming charts, a first for Marvel. She-Hulk viewership numbers suggest the Marvel Studios and Disney Plus legal sitcom has failed to gain a foothold among American audiences. Nearly 6 weeks in, viewers can finally have a clue of just how well Marvel Studios' She-Hulk has been doing so far, and the results show a rather underwhelming performance from Disney Plus' latest superhero series. Yes. How could this have failed so badly when the whole basis of it was the writers and the director and the showrunners and even the lead actress? Their whole reason for doing it wasn't to create a great story about the character of Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk, but to troll the fans who they hate. That's basically what this show was. It says, let's take this character and troll the people we hate with it. And again, this was the outcome. How could they have foreseen this one? I don't know. But again, This is what they do. They don't care. These companies have spent all this time not caring about the viewers, about the readers, about the people paying the bills. And now they have no money to pay the people who make the mechanics run. And again, it's not just Marvel that way. It's also DC. DC should reboot the DCEU, and we should all need to get over it. Despite best wishes and intentions, it looks like the DCEU might be coming to an end, and we already know that's true. A recent report and subsequent quasi-confirmations inform us that Wonder Woman 3 is no longer happening. This is due to the multi-year plan that new co-CEOs James Gunn and Peter Safran are plotting. It looks like the third Wonder Woman movie will not happen at Warner Brothers, as it doesn't fit in with the planned vision of the new DC studios. But at this point, I think we should just reboot the whole thing. A James Gunn DCEU reboot would benefit the new company as well as all of us fans. A clean slate. So again, everything they're doing, and again, it's true. This is there. You see, Wonder Woman 3 is dead amid major movie restructuring. It's at least possible that no further Superman or Black Adam movies will be made either. And again, that's something we've come to find out too. Henry Cavill was just told, after coming back in October saying he was going to be Superman again, and now it's like, nope, I'm not going to be Superman because James Gunn doesn't want that, And Black Adam reported losing massive amounts of money. Yes, it did. It's lost at least $150 million. That is huge. That is huge. The movie itself, I think, cost what, like 200 million to make. So it's lost almost as much as it costs to make it. That is incredible to me. That is absolutely incredible. According to some experts, Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam is considered a flop as the DCU epic draws near closing its theatrical run. Despite Johnson's best efforts of telling folks that the hierarchy of power in the DC universe was about to change, the actor's superpower debut was not all that it was drummed up to be. The long gestating film finally hit theaters back in October to lackluster reviews, with words like messy and forgettable getting thrown around. Yes. Now, on this one, I've heard mixed. I've heard some people say that it was like that, and I heard some say, no, it was actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's the best, superhero movie I've seen in quite a while from either Marvel or DC, but whatever it is, it wasn't enough. Again, they've driven too many people away. They've hurt themselves so badly for the last several years, treating the fans, the readers, the viewers, as if they're a burden. And this is the outcome. Even when there's something that might be good, like this, it's still not enough. Warner Brothers Discovery increased cost-cutting synergies target to $3.5 billion. Yes, see, again, just like you saw with Iger now. Iger at Disney, he's got to look for ways of cutting costs. The same thing is happening at Warner Discovery. 6 months after the merger of Warner Media and Discovery, Warner Brothers Discovery is upping the goal for its seemingly never-ending cuts across the board. The David Zaslav-led company has been persistently working towards finding $3 billion in cost-saving synergies since closing the deal in April, a goal it aims to complete over the next 3 years. During Warner Brothers Discovery third quarter earnings call Thursday, which came after the release of the rough financial results for the media conglomerate and mediocre subscriber growth, Zaslav said the company is now increasing that target to $3.5 billion. Following that announcement, Zaslav handed the mic to WDB co-founder Gunnar Weidenfels, who said he expects to reach $750 million in synergies by the end of 2022. Weidenfels spoke about the difficult decisions that comes with this increase and noted the importance of centralizing duplicative operations. Meaning, if you're a guy who is a redundancy in the company, you're basically out of a job. So expect job cuts coming. You see, that's expect job cuts coming. That's basically what that says. See, again, this is how poorly they're doing. The big mega conglomerates, Warner, Discovery, Disney, we're the monsters in the room. We're the 800-pound gorillas. But the 800-pound gorillas are sick with pneumonia and dying on a respirator. right about now. A new analysis that the CW recently sold by Paramount to Warner Brothers. The recent analysis about the series about Paramount and Warner Brothers to Nexstar was losing twice as much as it was making. The CW, home of popular television franchises like the Arrowverse, Supernaturals, and the Vampire Diaries, was reportedly losing double what it earned prior to its sale in 2022. So again, here's another one. Just another, the CW, the Arrowverse. It was supposed to be this great thing, but you had crap on there like Batwoman and, just horrible, horrible shows. The Supergirl show where they race swapped Jimmy Olsen and just terrible stuff. Stuff that was done not because it was good storytelling, not because it makes for intriguing characters, but just to hit diversity markers, just to hit the wokeness. And again, the numbers were pumped up, just like Chapek did with Disney streaming. They pumped up numbers here, and this was actually losing twice as much as it was making. So, I mean, is it any wonder comic creators aren't getting paid? Marvel reportedly unhappy with Phase 4, considering major changes to Phases 5 and 6 slate. Is he? And now the scrambling begins to look for scapegoats and for a way out. Marvel Studios could be making some changes to their Phase 5 and Phase 6 lineups after the negative reception to some of the content in Phase 4. Some of the content? I mean, aside from Spider-Man No Way Home, was there anything in Phase 4 that wasn't at the very least mediocre or worse? I don't think so. There's no denying that this first new phase of the MCU content post Avengers Endgame was mixed. That's putting it lightly. I love the spin that the media is trying to do for these people. While projects like Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and Spider-Man No Way Home were widely praised, movies such as The Eternals and Thor: Love and Thunder missed their mark for many. Many feel that this is due to Marvel Studios and Disney focusing on quantity over quality, especially when it comes to utilizing Disney Plus as a storytelling tool. Yeah, it's not just quantity, folks. It's quality. It's not focusing quantity over quality. It's focusing on diversity over quality. It's focusing on wokeness over quality. When the stories aren't about telling the stories, but about pushing agendas, pushing narratives, pushing ideology, that's when you start to lose. And that's what Phase 4 was for Marvel. And so you can see here, this is now how it's going to go. It's hilarious. And here's IDW. This is one that umbrella guy, my good friend Tug, he spent like 2 years going over their numbers. And you can see from here, I set it at the 5-year mark. 5 years ago, IDW's stock price was at $46. It is now at 98 cents a share. It has lost almost 98% of its value within 5 years. The same 5 years that they spent attacking the comic book fan base, attacking the people who love the source material, destroying the characters that they love, telling them to F off, telling them that they're white supremacist Nazi bigots. Isn't it funny how that whole drop coincides with all of that? And this is probably how it would look for pretty much any publisher if you looked at it today. This is what it would be. This is how those numbers would look for, if you looked at Disney's numbers, for Marvel or for DC's. Marcus Killigrew here. Diversity. Yes, that's it, Marcus. That's all it ever is. That's what it's all been about for the last several years. And this line right here shows you where that leads you, right down here. And again, we know this because IDW is one of the few companies who actually put their numbers out there. Tug, like I said, Tug did a great job when he was showing you, breaking these numbers down for you, in like 2019 and 2020. He was breaking these numbers down and showing you exactly how much they're losing and why and everything else. And this just everything right here, it tells you. I mean, it's a straight line right down to the grave. And this is why you're seeing comic creators not getting paid now. This is why they're waiting 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 months to get a payment, if they even get it at all. Remember what I said about Aftershock? Remember I told you to take note of what they were saying? Well, here's one that came in just a few days ago. Aftershock Comics files for bankruptcy, owes creators five-figure sums. Oof! Oof! In recent days, Bleeding Cool has run a number of stories concerning the comic book publisher Aftershock Comics and what has seemed an inability to pay their freelance comic book creators what is due them. Today, it has been revealed that Aftershock Comics of Sherman Oaks, California, and their partner studio, Rive Gauche Television, have filed for bankruptcy. Aftershock Comics filing states on December 19, 2022, Aftershock Comics affiliates filed for Chapter 11 protection in the District of Central California. The debtors report assets of 10 to 50 millions and liabilities of 10 to 50 million. The petition states funds will be available to unsecured creditors, debtors, represented by David L. Neal of whatever, some law firm. But there it is. They're bankrupt. Aftershock Comics. Remember what the one woman said, Olivia. The last thing we need is to lose another indie comic publisher. Well, it looks like that's exactly what you're getting, because they have now filed for bankruptcy. And when you see these numbers, it's stymieing. Look at this. Debts declared include these comic book creators: Mattia Monaco, the artist for whatever, $18,000. Emilio Paluya, $15,500. Alberto these names. Locatelli, $15,000. Miranda, $10,000. Damian Coriciro, $8,800. Mark Engelhart, $8,600. Then there are other comic book related debtors, including San Diego Comic-Con for $17,000. They owe Comic-Con $17,000. That is hilarious. Aftershock Comics AS Comics of Pusey, England for $514,000. One of their partners, $500,000, and two printers in Canada here, for almost another $500,000. Good Lord, man, these numbers. But again, this is why no one's getting paid. This is why. All these companies, they've banked on wokeness to pay the bills, and it doesn't work. It does not work. And now they're paying the price. This is what has come. This was always the ultimate destination, and we begged them. We begged them to stop. Don't do this. How many times have you guys seen videos from me and others telling them, knock it off, quit attacking the readers, quit trashing the characters, quit telling us to go away, you don't want our money. It's not going to end well for you guys. And look where they are right now. And this is just one company. But of course, as always is, you can always rely on the comic book media to gaslight you. Here we are from June of this year. Everyone's favorite Whisper Network shill, Heidi McDonald, comes out and says, turns out comics are not dying. Don't believe the charlatan comment. And then she links to Comic-Con, with the famous numbers I've shown you many times when they try to show you, look at all the money comics are making. Comics are doing great. Yeah, if you're manga or if you're crowdfunding, sure, maybe they're doing great there. But if you're in the mainstream, well, as you just saw, not so much. That's the lie. That's the big lie that we've been told for years now. Comics are doing just fine. They're not dying. But turns out it's not just the companies and the creators who are suffering in all of this. The shill media like Heidi are too. So this may be a strange time to launch this, but the Beat needs your help. If you like the Beat, we need your support at Patreon. You might have seen whispers about comic publishers having payment issues. Well, that has affected the Beat as well. The shills are not getting paid anymore. They're not getting paid to write their fluff pieces about diversity and equity and inclusivity now. They're not getting the money from the companies now because the companies don't have it to give. And now they don't know what to do. This is hilarious. The whole rotten edifice is coming down around its own ears. I love it. Continuing. It's a rough time for advertising in general, and we're owed advertising money that we may never see. I remain optimistic, but have to be realistic. Yes, yes. Translation: the companies owe us money for our fluffing jobs that we've been doing for the last few years, but they haven't paid us yet. I hope they do, but I don't think they're going to. Yes, I don't think they will either. The way numbers are working out for the publishers. I've tinkered with the rewards on our campaign, which have always been pretty casual, but watching the Twitter community at risk, I see that building new communities and adapting old ones is where it's at in 2023. So we're launching new levels that reflect that. Not gonna lie, we are in a rough patch now. Current Patreon income pays for our infrastructure, servers, software, but just barely, and costs are rising. Well, you can thank Joe Biden and all those people that you probably voted for, Heidi. They're the ones that help put the economy in the state it's in. So congratulations. I hope it was worth it. I hope getting rid of Orange Man Bad and his mean tweets was worth it. Is it working out for you? Is you loving it now? Continuing. We are in the planning stages for Beat 5.0 to launch in 2023. But to do so, we need the support of the community of publishers and readers. Oh, readers? You mean like the ones that you've been spending years calling bigots? You know, the community of publishers. Oh, you mean like the ones that you and your secret Whisper Network buddies all went around trying to trash creators and ruin their careers? Those publishers, those readers, you expect them to bail you out? I mean, I got to give her the utter gall that she has to do this is hilarious. But again, it shows you how the self-reflection of these people is non-existent. Continuing. And hey, if you want to advertise, we have plenty of opportunity for that. Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do. DM me. The Beat's audience and engagement is still as strong as ever. Oh, I guess there's a lot of box wine ants still reading the Beat, I guess. But to stay there, we need your support. If you have any questions or want to see more numbers, DM me. And thank you. I've been doing this for 20 years because I love being a part of this art form and community. And all Beat contributors feel the same way. Now, that's interesting. That last little bit. Take note of that last bit right there at the end with what I'm about to show you here, because this is hilarious. All Beat contributors feel the same way. Well, again, and this is all from just last month, November. Here we go. From just 2 years ago. Oh, as of now, I no longer work at Comics Beat. The hostile, negative, and outright abusive environment created by Heidi McDonald and her editorial staff made it impossible for me to do my job there. That's all I have to say on this matter. Oh my God! Oh, yeah. I love being a part of this art form and community, and all the Beat contributors feel the same way. The hostile, negative, and outright abusive environment created by Heidi McDonald and her editorial staff made it impossible for me to do my job there. I mean, come on. How could you not laugh? How could you not laugh at this? I mean, you know, even Santa's laughing at this one. But there it is. All they've been doing these last several years is gaslighting you. Comics are doing fine. Oh, we love the art form. Everybody who works for us feels the same way. All in unison, saying the same things over and over and over. And if you didn't agree with it, you're a bigot. You're a hater. You're a troll. You're a white supremacist Nazi. That's what you heard. And here it is now. It's all coming out. It's all coming out because now the money is gone. The money is gone, and there's nothing left to hide it with. Here's a little something I found in an article where they were talking to C.B. Cebulski from Marvel, and I loved this. This was a great little bit. So for all you out there, like our good friend Marcus, who has dreams of being a comic creator, here's CB's little bit of tip of wisdom to you. You get out of comics what you put in. So never lose your passion. But remember, when you choose to work in comics, the job does not stop once you finish a script or draw a page. The hustle needs to continue, with writers and artists also serving as their own cheerleaders, PR people, social media managers, accountants, and more. Whoa. Wait a minute. Ron Mars told me that his business cards only read writer, not customer service. Not not media manager. What? How is that? No. How is that possible? You sound like Comicsgate, CB Cebulski. What is that? Have you gone Comicsgate all of a sudden? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. But again, this is what we told these creators for years. You guys got to stop acting like buffoons on the internet. You got to stop attacking the readers. You got to stop putting your politics into everything. You got to start thinking about how you're making yourself look bad to the very people who you rely on to buy the product. And they wouldn't listen. They told us, my job ain't customer service. You guys don't pay me. The publisher signs my checks. That's what we were told. And I hear CB Cebulski saying, yeah, it's not just writing and drawing the comics that you got to worry about today, creators. You also got to be kind of like in there promoting it, and you got to be out there in social media, and you got to make sure you're not, driving readers away, and you're bringing readers in. All the things we told him, and he wouldn't listen. Cebulski replied when asked for his advice to young creators: don't quit your day job until you are financially sound as a freelancer. Just because you get your first assignment and paycheck does not mean you have a career in comics just yet. How ironic. Again, he's telling you don't quit your day job. If you're going to work in comics, make it your side job. Don't make it your career, because even when you get paid, well, you're not really a comic pro yet. And it's hilarious. And you can be financially sound as a freelancer. Well, as we've already seen, freelancers are not financially sound today. So all you guys, I guess we can't call them pros anymore. They're comic freelancers, is what we should call them, because that's all they are. They're just freelancers, because they're not pros. They're not getting paid for what they're doing. But again, it just shows you how all the gaslighting we've been given for the last several years, all these chickens are coming home to roost. And, I find it, it's very cathartic to me to know that I was right. And I'm sure it is for many of you who probably are watching this, who've said many of the same things. We all know we were right. But again, it's also kind of insulting that they spent all this time trying to get us to believe a lie that they themselves knew wasn't true. And instead, they focus on stuff like this: Queer Eye for comic books, LGBTQ plus voices on IP adaptations for film and television. Now, I'm just going to read this first bit here for you. The panel will bring together LGBTQ writers and film and TV executives to discuss the process of adapting comic book IPs for film and television, with a focus on breathing life into queer characters, either those already queer or on the page, or reinterpreting legacy characters in a new queer light. So right there. So rather than say, hey, let's create works that the people want to buy, we're instead going to inject our agenda and ram it down their throats, even in characters that we know it doesn't belong in, because my representation, my diversity. And so here it is. This is what they've focused on for the last several years, and you can see where it has led them. So again, can we really feel that sorry for them, that they're in this boat? A boat that they willingly got on, basically. But as always, the great Eric July, he always puts it in the proper context for you. The Rippaverse targets an audience of people interested in a new comic universe and has the capital to purchase it. Comic pros target internet weirdos that will either pirate it or get their information from some shill comic book YouTuber and wiki pages, but they won't buy it. This is why many of the comic pros are broke, yet still defend major publishers like battered wives with Stockholm Syndrome. Yes, that's exactly it. That everything you've just seen for the last hour from me, he puts it into 3 paragraphs right here. And that's exactly what this is. And now they're crying about it. I'm broke. I'm not getting paid. I don't have any money. I can't afford Christmas for my family. I had to take on side jobs. I got to work down at the Dollar Tree during the week to cover my bills. And we're supposed to feel bad for them. We're supposed to throw our money and help support them. People like Heidi McDonald, who has spent years attacking creators and attacking readers with her platform because she disagreed with them politically. And now because her stuff is starting to fall apart, she wants you to come out and dig into your pocket and give her some money so she can keep doing what she's been doing? Really? You want to support creators who have called you Nazis and bigots? They want you to support them now? Where was that concern years ago? Why didn't they think about that when they were calling you Nazis and bigots and saying, we don't need your money? You know, Kelly Sue DeConnick's famous line, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Problem solved. Well, yeah, I guess the problem was solved all right, because now nobody's got any money. And I couldn't let this go without showing some classic stuff here of the gaslighting we have seen for years now. Here's again the Comic-Con report, from 2020, showing it's all increase. And here's soy boy Joe Quesada. Well, this is awesome news. Who could possibly find doom and gloom in that? 3, 2, 1. Well, Joe, how are they doing now, Joe? All that big graph number going up, and yet comic creators aren't getting paid. I guess this really didn't tell the story then, did it? I guess this was more gaslighting, wasn't it? And here's Brett Booth. First thing, the comic industry isn't dying. It's changing, yes, but even if the big two collapse, people like me will still make comics. No, you won't. No, you won't, Brett. No, you won't. Because, see, if you were going to do that, you'd already be doing it now. Like the crowdfunding guys. Your Aaron Leprestis, your Graham Nolans, your Shane Davises. Those are the people who will continue to make comics after the big publishers collapse. Guys like Brett Booth, they're not going to do that. They're going to go into advertising or go into some other kind of line of work to get paid, because they're not going to want to have to deal with this. But again, look at the gaslighting. The comic industry isn't dying. Is that why creators aren't getting paid? Is that why books aren't coming out on time? Is that why the corporations that own the publishers are looking to cut costs and reorganize everything? I mean, if that's not the throes of a dying industry, I don't know what is. And then we got Jeff Johnson here. Shouldn't the distributor is responsible for the consequences in the marketplace? Hostess, don't like diabetes? Talk to the market, or better yet, the truck driver. Shouldn't troubleshooting go to the source? It's the artist's work that's not selling. What does the comic shop have to do with it? And then Jeff Johnson, except the comics are fine. The people complaining about comics about comics and creators on the internet don't actually care about comics. Yes, we don't. How did he know? Me, who spent 35 years reading this stuff. I've spent 3/4 of my life reading this stuff, working in shops, selling art online, doing reviews and commentary, all kinds of stuff. Yes, I don't care about comics. Yes. How did you know, Jeff? What mystical power do you have to divine that answer? How did you come to that, Gandalf? They just want attention. No, I believe that's you, Jeff. It's all a fake problem. If you don't want diabetes, then don't eat ice cream. Don't bitch about not liking the flavor. So it's all a fake problem. So I guess all the creators not getting paid is a fake problem. All the movies that the properties are based upon losing money is a fake problem. Companies restructuring is a fake problem. Publishers going bankrupt is a fake problem. Really? That's kind of interesting. There's all fake problems. Again, the gaslighting, the direct the outright lies they have been spreading for years. This is what they've done. This is what they've given us. And now that they're in the soup, they want us to bail them out. Well, I say, you know what I say? Fuck them. That's what I say. But they're going to try, and here's DC stepping in. This is how they're trying to save themselves. Look at it. A Batman book by Mark Silvestri with a cover by Jim Lee. Well, why would they do this now? And what's this weather? Oh, Batman Spawn? Oh my God, did I just hit a time warp? Is this 2022 or 1992? I can't tell anymore. They're reaching back 30 years to the stuff that guys like me and probably some of you out there grew up reading, and they're now aiming it at us. They're like, yeah, maybe we should make some stuff that those people want so they'll buy it so that we can make some money. Gee, you think? Gee, where was that thought? Oh, I don't know, say 5 years ago when you started down this road of wokeness. Where was that thinking then? Like, hey, maybe we should make stuff for the people who were actually paying the bills. Where was that thinking then? To me, this is too little too late. You know, I mean, I'm not going to, 10 years ago, if they'd have done this, I'd have been all for it. Like, oh man, McFarlane and Capullo doing Batman and Spawn again. Oh, awesome. I gotta buy that. Now I'm like, who cares? Let them die. Let them die. Some people, I guess, just have to learn the hard way, and you can't try to save them. And that's how I see this now. This is the way this is all broken down for me. It's no longer about trying to save this industry. It's about how quickly can it die so that something better can rise from the ashes. And the quicker it dies, the better, because then that something better can rise sooner. So that's my advice to everybody. So all the creators who aren't getting paid, don't expect to get paid, because less and less of us every day are buying. You've driven us away. You've told us you didn't want our money. You told us we were bigots and Nazis. You said that, if we don't like your politics, don't buy your work. Message received. And now you can all suffer. So don't waste your time with stuff like this. Just let your industry die, pull the plug, and then let whatever new come along that can take its place to make it something better. Maybe something like, I don't know, like this. Something like the Rippaverse. Eric July, $3.8 million on his first campaign here. His first pre-order. And I'll tell you, that's why you saw that stuff that DC is doing, and other companies are trying some of this stuff too, is because they saw this. I mean, as much as the media shills downed on this and tried to downplay it and ignore it and say that it's all a bunch of bunk and it's all fake and whatever they said about him, all the dirty tricks they played, they were watching this, and the publishers were watching this, and they saw this, and they're like, we need to get that money. And that's what this stuff you're seeing now is. That's what Batman Spawn is. That's what Batman by Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee is for. It's to get this money into their pockets. But I say don't do that. Support people like Eric July, people who actually care about this work, who care about the readers, who want to create actual entertainment. Not people who are producing indoctrination pamphlets, who are preaching ideological screeds that you don't care about, using characters that you do. Support guys who are creating entertainment for the masses. Because that's where the future lies. There it is. Eric says it himself. And if you don't like my politics, you can still buy my book. I'll still have you as a customer. And there you are. This is what you should support right here. The creators who are hurting now, the ones who are having their blue Christmas, they don't deserve your help. They've put themselves into the position they're in. This is all on them. This is the way to go. This is the people to support. Guys like Eric July. But he's not the only one. He's not the only one out there you support. Again, because he has shown the way with a lot of this. But there are others who show you that this is actually feasible. And again, for our good friend Marcus here, if you want to get into game, the best way to do it is on your own, just like Eric July did. But people would say, "Oh, but Eric July is an outlier. Not everyone makes $3.5 million." That's true. That's true. It was definitely unexpected for him above all people. He didn't expect that. But there are others. There are others you can use, such as this one here. I'm about to show you as soon as it loads up. Come on. There we go. Aaron Lepresti's Wraith of God, Blood Hunters. $130,000 on the campaign so far. His last, and it made this 130 faster than the last campaign did, the first Wraith of God book. And I have no doubt this will surpass what the full total was of the first Wraith of God. And the thing about it is Aaron has done this all on his own. He doesn't have a major publisher backing him up. He doesn't have a whole bunch of movies in the pipeline. But mega bucks from a corporation backing him. He's a guy basically selling it out of his basement, or maybe his upstairs studio. I guess maybe would be the more proper way to put it. But whatever it is, this is what this is just one guy doing his thing, and he's seeing the rewards. This is second six-figure campaign, and that's not easy to do. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of, time to make that happen. And, this is the way to go, so, while he's not where Eric July got, of course, he's still having quite a bit of success. And again, now again, you might say, well, but Aaron's a longtime industry veteran. He's been at this forever. Of course he's successful. He knows what he's doing. He's been in this industry for 30 years. He of course will be successful. Well, maybe, I could grant you that if I didn't also have, of course, as always, more examples to show. Examples like this one right here. Hunt the Littlest Umbrella from my good friend Tug, that umbrella guy. This is his third campaign, by the way. His third campaign to break 6 figures. And this one, by just a couple $100, I think so far, has been his most successful to date. So, again, and Tug, until he did his first campaign a couple years back, he never wrote a comic before. He never worked in comics. He doesn't have a pedigree like an Aaron Lopresti does. And yet, here he is almost making $160,000 so far on this campaign. So it can be done. This is the future. And this is the future that these creators you saw crying about, the publishers aren't paying me. They don't want to have to go this route, because a lot of them have spent the last several years, as I've shown you time and time again in my past live streams on this, showing you they've spent time attacking the readers. The readers they're going to need to support these campaigns. So they don't want to go this route because they know they'll fail. Who's going to want to support the guy that spent 5 years calling you a bigot? Who would want to support that guy? Nobody. Who's going to want to support a dread butt pirate, Mark Brooks, who attacks the readers? No one. Who's going to want to support a Kelly Sue DeMoronic? Nobody. Why? Because they spent years attacking you. And whoever, it's like saying, well, here, let me support the bully who beats me up. No one's going to do that. But so that's why they don't do this. This is why, again, you saw Brett Booth saying, even if the major publishers fall, well, I'll still make comics. No, you won't, because you spent time attacking the readers, Brett, calling them all kinds of names. And we have long memories, and we're going to remember. And so if you were to try this yourself, you'll fail. You're not going to see success like this from a guy who, again, up until a couple years ago, never wrote a comic a day in his life. And yet you'll never see the success he's seeing. But this is the way forward. This is how we get something better. I said, in all my intros on this is what's the silver lining and all this, what good can come out of all the fall of the mainstream industry this way, of everyone going bankrupt. This is it right here. The new model can now take dominance. The model of the independent creator going directly to the consumer, to the readers. This is the way forward. This is how we'll get it done. A new and better industry based on people who want to create great work, not people who see the work as a stepping stone to a Netflix deal, or who see it as a way to push their ideological agendas or what have you, who don't spend half their day on Twitter attacking you, calling you every dirty name in the book because you don't agree about who should be president or whatever. This is the way forward. This what's going on in the mainstream right now is the best thing for independent creators like this, like Eric July, like Aaron Lopresti, like Graham Nolan. This is the best thing that can happen, is because it makes it wide open for them to come in and show what they can really do and really promote their work and their ethics of what they feel the comic industry should be. That it shouldn't be about, corporations. It shouldn't be about ideological conformity and purity tests and all this other kind of stuff, gatekeeping. It should be about people who want to create great works that the mass audience can enjoy. That is the way forward, and that's what I hope to see. That is definitely what I hope to see going forward on this. So we'll have to wait and see if that's how it all shakes out. But before I close it all out here on all of this, before I'm going to share one last thing here with you. And again, it comes courtesy of my spirit animal, the great Eric July. A little bit of shall we say, personal wisdom that too many in the mainstream didn't want to listen to, but that hopefully all the rest of you out there will listen to. On case the sound doesn't work out as well as I hope, but we'll see. And here he is.
You got to be able to separate the real. To read that you can get as many retweets as you want. We've seen virtue selling stuff that I'm doing is material to signal at. Why ain't they buying this like that? Well, recently, because mine, which are very normie centric, very flaky, very inconsistent in terms of what they actually like. Right? Just because they cosplay your character, they'll go home and they ain't now short along watching that in that bad boy.
Sorry about that, folks. Got booted there. I guess my connection isn't as strong as I was hoping it would be. I'll just try to back up Eric's stuff here a bit, so hopefully you guys can finish here. We're going to finish out with Eric's thoughts here. Let me try to get that loaded up for you again real quick.
And you got to make a decision. If y'all want the likes and retweets, I want the people that's going to rock with the company what the company actually is. Okay. And
there you have it. Know your audience and go for the audience who basically will help you pay the bills. That's what you need to do. That's the way forward. And again, it seems like common sense. You and me and all, we hear that and we're like, well, that's just common sense. That just makes business. And yeah, we get that. But a lot of creatives aren't very good business people, and so they don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. They never have. But in today's market, in today's fast-paced online instant gratification world, you have to. And that's what Eric does. And that's why he was so successful and got $3.8 million. That's how he did that. And that's the way forward. Exactly what he told you there is exactly the way forward. Focus on your audience, focus on getting an audience who will support you, who will support the work and do good work. Don't just, again, he's always said, don't be alternative just to be alternative. That's not good enough. You have to make it worth their while, worth the while of the audience that you're trying to cater to. And so my Christmas wish to all the creatives out there, at least not the ones who didn't spend the last several years attacking their reader bases, go out on your own, and make your own stuff that you don't have to be beholden to a corporation for payment or a publisher for payment. Make the readers the ones you are beholden to, because they are the ones who will ultimately back you in the end, no matter what, whether you get paid through a publisher or you get paid from, Indiegogo or PayPal or wherever, Patreon, wherever you're getting your payment from, it always boils down to your readership. And that's the thing to take away from all this is always listen to your readership, always foster a strong connection with your readership, because they're the ones who will carry you through the good times and the bad. And as they're learning now, without having them there during the bad times, well, you can see where it leads you. And so hopefully we can all avoid that in the future, and we can get some great works out there from some very talented people who can produce such work. Because we already have some, we can always use more. There's always room for more. So that's my Christmas wish to everybody. I want to thank you all for joining me here today for this. I hope you got something out of this. And now, as promised, because I did promise it at the start, we're going to open this bad boy up. Sort of a Christmas present to myself, as it were. Okay. There it goes. There we go. Get that out of the way. And let's see now here. Off there. Well, I appreciate the packing. As someone who does this themselves, I appreciate really well done packing. And this person certainly went above and beyond with the packing. Ah, there we go. And here we are. The page of original art. Let me see if I can get out of the plastic here so it doesn't get so much of that shine on it. There we go. This is a page from Aliens Predator, The Deadliest of the Species, #1. Art by the great Jackson Geiss and John Beatty. I just love Geiss's work. I mean, just like right here in the first panel. I mean, look at all that gravity fritz all over the ground. And look at the detail in all of that. That is absolutely beautiful. It's why I love Geist. His lines are so sharp, you can almost shave with them. I mean, look at that. It looks like broken glass because that's what it is, of course. But still, you look like if you ran your finger over it, you might cut yourself. That's how much detail. And again, the beautiful face. Just this is some great stuff right here. Yeah, I was very happy to get that. Geist is certainly probably, without a question, one of my top 10 favorite artists, maybe even top 5. So here's the wife. Yes, dear. Since you bought the vacuum instead, and then yes, that's why I did this. I figured I had to rely on myself to get something for myself. Yes, that's what we did. So, but there we go, folks. Merry Christmas to you all. I hope you all had some fun with this. Had a few laughs at the people who have spent years gaslighting us, telling us things that we knew weren't true, and yet, well, now we all see that they are true because they're suffering from it being true. So. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I hope you have some great time left here with the holiday season with your family and your friends, because that's, of course, what's most important right about now. And this will be the last Sequential Thinking piece of the year. So I'll see all of you again in 2023 with these, and and hopefully have some more stuff. And if you can, if you'd like what you heard here, be sure to hit the like there and subscribe to the channel, because we always want more people joining up here if we can. And whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this on the repeats, if you got any comments, throw them down in there. I always want to hear what you folks got to say. You got anything, did something I missed in here? Do you think I'm wrong about what I said? Or do you think I'm right? Do you think there's another angle I didn't focus on? Drop it down there. Let me know. I don't have a lock on knowledge. I always want to learn from others as well. So hit me what you're thinking. And also make sure to check all our links down there. I've got links to both Tug's and to Aaron's campaigns down there for you guys in case you want to help back them and support their works. And of course, there's also links to a recent piece I did with Pops on pop culture, where we talked about how to get someone into comic books, where you should start them off. I thought it was a very, very worthwhile discussion right there. There's a link to that, and a link to Aaron Lepresti's channel, because although this is the final Sequential Thinking piece of the year, next week, New Year's Eve, is the Comic Art Convo with me and Aaron on his channel at 4 p.m. Pacific time. It's going to be a blast. We got tons of stuff planned. I'm working very hard on this one. Opening topic is going to be our favorite cover artist, so you're definitely not going to miss that. It's the last Comic Art Convo of the year on New Year's Eve. So before you go out and get stymied with alcohol, come on by and join us at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And join us and have some laughs and some good times before we roll out there and have some more good times and try to ring out the old and bring in the new. So again, I want to thank you all for joining me here tonight, and to hope to see you at the Comic Art Convo. And I'll see you all with more stuff here next year. And until then, Merry Christmas, and as always, take care.